Hello everyone, in this video we're going to unbox a very exciting product that I have wanted to get for quite a while since we bought this house. It is a dehumidifier specifically designed for basement and crawl space areas. So this is the Santa Fe Advanced 100. Supposedly it removes 100 pints of water per day from the area that this dehumidifier is in. I know according to the new standards, this thing actually removes slightly less than claimed. But regardless, it's still a very powerful unit. This unit is not Energy Star compatible. If you want an Energy Star rated dehumidifier, consider the Santa Fe Advanced 90. However, the Advanced 100, the reason I got 100 over 90 is because 100 comes with Wi-Fi capability, so that I can actually control the power of this dehumidifier through the included app. I think there are probably this is the only dehumidifier that you can control with your app. Quote me if I'm wrong, but it's very exciting. So let's get started and we're gonna check it out, okay? So the reason I got this is because our basement is it's pretty much unfinished, and there are exposed dirts all over. And it gets very, very bad during a rainy season. So the humidity actually goes up to 80. The last time I checked, before I put a small dehumidifier down there, which helped solve the problem just a little bit. However, this one is going to be able to keep the humidity level below 50, which is optimal level to prevent any mold growth in your basement. I'm going to put the foam back in there, and then keep the rest of the accessory pack and take a look. What are the included accessories? So again, the dehumidifier, very, very good looking dehumidifier, very modern design and modern logo. It just looks nice. I'm glad I got this one. And so this is the included pipes. I don't think it's 8 foot. Yeah, maybe it's about 8 foot, so not terribly long, not terribly short, definitely good enough for draining into the sump pump hole that I had in our basement. I'll show you guys later on when we actually put it down there. Our 2 caps over here, and check out the mounting foot. Here, pretty long, so I would assume it's for adjustment and leveling purpose. So you can, because basements usually are not very level. What other things we have in this box? Let's take a look. And those are all the smart features. So I believe there is a water sensing sensor over there. There's the adapter for the Wi-Fi module, and what is this? ROHS compliant plug. So let's just take everything out. Interesting design. There's a little screw over here and a quick start manual. So I think the first thing first is I'm going to read through the manual, and then we're going to come back and finish this review. Otherwise, I would be, telling you guys inaccurate information about this dehumidifier. All right, it's already pretty late tonight, so I'm not gonna finish the installation of the actual dehumidifier in my basement. However, I can show you some of the parts that's included, which enables some of the smart features of this dehumidifier and what separates the Advanced 100 with the Advanced 90. So it comes with a water sensor. So basically it's got two, so there are 2 different leads. When you place this down on the ground, and when it detects the water, because the water is gonna make those 2 leads connect, it's gonna send a signal to your app that tells you your basement is flooded. So this is a water sensor in a sense. And the water sensor actually connects to I think they call this the smart connector adapter or whatever it is. It's connected to the water sensor with this 2-pin leads. Basically, it just plugs right over here. And on the other end, it's got this dedicated port that you plug one end of the cable in here and the other on the back of your dehumidifier. So this is what enables Wi-Fi. So I'm pretty sure there's probably a Wi-Fi module in here that powers the smart features. Alternatively, if you don't want to mount this onto the dehumidifier itself, you can use a longer cable to get it next to maybe your basement door or somewhere else that have better signal or better access to the sensor. So you can mount it up to 25 foot away from your dehumidifier to get better signal for your Wi-Fi, I guess, connectivity. That's from my understanding. So they also give you this 25-foot cable, which is really, really long. And but for me, I'm just gonna use the shorter cable and actually just directly mount this on the dehumidifier with the float sensor right next to it. That's pretty much all there is to this dehumidifier. So the next thing I want to show you is when you first receive this unit, it's gonna have a, let me lower this a little bit, show you guys. It's gonna have a cable tie tying the compressor inside. So when they ship it, it doesn't move around. When you first receive it, you need to make sure to disconnect this cable tie. Otherwise, when you turn on the compressor, it's gonna have a very bad vibration, okay? So just use a cable snip. Just snip off the cable tie and you should be good to go. And they even have a big yellow letter that asks you to snip it off. So let's do that. It's a pretty thick one. All right. So now it's all, the compressor is gonna sitting there nicely and the vibration free. And just quickly show you guys on the back. This is where you connect that smart connector. I'll show you. And it's also magnetic, so you can put it anywhere you like, but they said don't put it on the back, don't put it in the front, you can put it on the top, and you can put it on the side over here. Basically, you just connect this into the connector port over here. And over here you can see there are 2 pins. This is for your float sensor. Basically what it does is it connects with a special device, and if it detects there's flood in your basement, the dehumidifier is going to automatically stop working. That's an optional accessory. I don't think it's included. So, but they have the option over there for you to connect a float sensor, or they call it the float sensor. And that's all there is to the back. So on the side, on the rear of the connector, you can see there's actually a slot over here. I actually took it off because I took the filter out just to check. It comes with a, what's this rated? This is a MERV 13 rated filter, so supposedly a very good quality filter. And when you put it in, make sure the airflow goes into the dehumidifier, not out. And so when you put it in here, there are 2 covers you can put on 2 sides, really beautiful looking covers. All you have to do is just, close the cover. And you can use either one from either side, and when you close it, it sits there nice and pretty. So you also need to close the other side. Pretty much same thing. So the dehumidifier is almost ready to be used. Okay, so one last thing from the manual is that it operates in 2 different modes, a normal mode and a high performance mode. When you turn it on, it always runs at normal mode. If it doesn't dehumidify to your desired humidity level, it's going to go into high performance mode, which is the full 100 pints per day mode. It's going to be louder, it's going to use more energy, but if it doesn't achieve your desired setting in about 20 minutes, it jumps into that mode. Once it gets your desired setting, it goes back to normal mode, which works a little bit more energy efficiently and quietly. The included tube goes over here with this adapter. You just screw it in, nice and tight, and then you can put the tube over here. However, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot just put this on the ground and use it. You need to have it leveled above ground, and then you need to create a trap for the hose to accumulate some water, so the water does not backflow into the dehumidifier and causes rust and damage to the dehumidifier. So you always need a trap, and the way to create a trap is you need to have the dehumidifier much higher above ground for it to work, okay? And they said to create a trap, you can either just tie a knot like this and put it in here, or you create a J-trap using one of the adapters you can get from your local hardware stores, okay? So that's the best way to have the thing working. But again, I don't foresee any other problem with using it in the basement. So in the next section of this video, we're gonna actually set it up in the basement and start using it. Okay. So this is a little side project because the dehumidifier actually needs a clearance at least a couple inches off the ground for it to function properly, for the gravity drain to function properly. So I went ahead and I made a little stand for the dehumidifier because after all, I'm going to be having it at the lowest point in the basement, which is on the ground. And so this stand should effectively raise the clearance of the dehumidifier a few inches up to make that the S drain that they require, so the water doesn't go backflow into the dehumidifier. So this is at least 5 inches. Okay, so great clearance, and I can also adjust the lag on the dehumidifier to get it a little bit higher. And we're here down in my basement. As you can see, my current setup is this Danby dehumidifier. This is 50 Pint, and right now it's gotten my humidity in the basement down to 52, 53, and guess how long that took? My basement, originally the humidity was at 80%, going almost 100. So this thing started running non-stop and had a gravity drain over there into my sump pump, and the sump pump just drains when the little hole gets filled full. It took almost a week and a half running 24/7 to get my humidity down to 53, and that's a lot of work, and I'm actually pretty impressed by this dehumidifier for getting my super wet basement almost at below 50%, where no mold is gonna grow, and it's gonna be a healthier environment in the basement. Okay, so impressed with that. However, now we're gonna have a much better option with the Santa Fe Advanced 100 in here, and it's gonna keep the basement much lower in terms of humidity, and it's gonna use less energy because this one is running 24/7. And with the Santa Fe, it's more powerful. It's able to remove the humidity quicker. So it's going to have some downtime. And that in turn is going to save energy. Okay, so I kind of got this beast settled down in the basement now. It's huge compared to my 50 pint unit. But again, this is like twice the capacity. So hopefully it can keep this basement moisture level below 50%. And so the round area is the exhaust, and I already put the filter in, and the filter is over there, MERV 13 rated, so you can remove quite a lot of dusts and make the basement less dusty as well. The control panel is over here. This is one of the digital control panels. Not many dehumidifier commercial ones have this kind of a digital panel, especially for Santa Fe. Most of their unit is a turn knob, and this one is slightly more smart. And again, with the Wi-Fi features, it's one of the more advanced dehumidifiers out there. So this is my setup. I have the this is, I think, 5/8 inch PVC pipe that they provided, which is 8 foot long, and then I added a extra 10-foot long, and I custom cut it. So it goes into my, well, what do you call it? It goes into my sump pump hole over here. And once it fills up, it automatically pumps out. So I don't need the additional sump pump kit from them, but you can also buy that to have the thing pumped out of your basement. Over here is my plug for the sump pump, as well as the dehumidifier. I actually used the extension cable because it's not long enough. It's rated at 5.8 amp, and most of the cable, even 16 gauge, 8-foot long, it should be more than enough to support the extension needed for the dehumidifier. So first time, I'm gonna turn it on and just check it out and maybe check the sound level. And then later on, I'm gonna set up the Wi-Fi and see how that works. So right now, I don't have the Smart Connect feature connected yet. We're just gonna test the unit itself. So right now, current relative humidity is, it says at 85, which I think it's pretty high, because before I removed the dehumidifier a couple hours ago, it says the humidity was only at 53. So set point, I'm gonna default it to 50 because that's the point where mode is not gonna grow, and there's a buttons to change those displays. So if I press up and down, by default it changes the set point. And what am I gonna press here? So if you press this button, it goes into manual and shows you a couple different settings. So if you go into the temperature mode, you press up and down, it switches between Celsius and Fahrenheit. And you press again, it goes into the fan mode. If it's in auto mode, it only comes on when the dehumidifier is dehumidifying. When you have it to always on, even if it's not dehumidifying, the fan is on to circulate the air in the basement. And there are only two settings over here. So color bar is this bar that I think if it's green or green and blinking, it's working. And if it's red, something's wrong, okay? You can set it to off so it doesn't blink. I guess saves just a little bit more electricity if you wanted to. But I think it's kind of cool to have this little light over here indicating what's going on. And there is also a diagnostic mode. If I hold that, it's gonna turn on the alert or something like that. I don't want to do that. And then you press again, it goes back to the main menu. As you can hear, the compressor just turned on. So it just started to dehumidify the basement, and I don't know why, but it says relative humidity is actually pretty high at 86. So we're gonna come back and check on it and see how well this thing performs. But at this point, the amount of air that's blowing out, it actually feels kind of same amount of air that's blowing out from my 50 pint dehumidifier from Danby. So I'm really curious to see how fast this thing can dehumidify the basement. So we're gonna come back in a little bit and then update you on that. But at the same time, I'm gonna hook up the Wi-Fi to see how the app works. So I just basically hooked up all the Connect kits. This is like their Wi-Fi module. So if you hook this up with the included cable, the light blinks different colors. If it's blinking blue, you can pair it with your app on your phone, and it's connected to the float sensor, which is right here. I just put it down here, so in case if this starts to leak, I would know that it's leaking. And as you can see, only about less than 10-20 minutes, it's already starting to extract a lot of water into the thing. And I have a trap over here, which is a loop. So basically I put the loop under the stairs, and it's below the height of this gravity drain. So once it starts to fill, and then it's gonna start flowing all the way over to the sump pump over there. we're gonna give it a little seconds, and in the meantime, I'm gonna put up the section on how the Connect app was set up. It's pretty easy and pretty straightforward, and there isn't really much going on with the app itself. Basically, it gives you a history of the humidity, the temperature of the humidity, and you can put the humidifier to sleep mode or turn it off. And you can also set the humidity level that you want. So that's basically, the app is basically the features over here. Whatever's available over here, you can control it in the app. Plus the alarm for the flood, that once, if it gets flooded, if any. In terms of the sound level, this thing is really quiet. It's actually quieter than the Denby 50 Pint dehumidifier I had over here running. It feels like a small, it sounds just like a small window unit, AC unit, and it's probably even quieter than a window AC unit. So if I go outside of my basement, I'm not gonna hear the thing at all. So that is one thing that's really good about this dehumidifier. It's really quiet. It's big. I thought it's gonna be really loud. To my surprise, it's actually very quiet. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. So one last thing I want to do with this dehumidifier is I'm gonna probably put up a self timer over there to make sure it's not running during the peak energy consumption time, which is actually quite expensive in terms of energy use for my electricity company. So that would be the last thing I want to do. But other than that, it's working great. It's extracting water like crazy from the basement already. So we're gonna come back and do the final conclusion once I observe how the dehumidifier works in the next few hours, maybe in the next few days even. Hey guys, so it's been quite a few days since I unboxed my Santa Fe Advanced 100 dehumidifier. I was about to show you guys how the system works, but I think the dehumidifier I've received is actually defective. So I called the customer support from Santa Fe, and they have determined that my humidity sensor inside the dehumidifier might not be working correctly, because it constantly displaying that the humidity in my basement is above 70%, which I know is not true. And I have my humidity and temperature sensor over here. It's actually quite lower than what the display in the Santa Fe was saying, and that's why the machine, when I turn it on, it just keeps running for a long time. And I called them, so they actually offered to send me a brand new humidity sensor as well as a control unit. So that's what I'm gonna do actually, to replace those units. Hopefully the machine would detect correct humidity in my basement and then wouldn't cause any trouble by continuously running the compressor. All right, so I have taken off the top cover from both the front and the back of the dehumidifier, that Advanced 100. So the thing I'm trying to replace first is the humidity sensor, which is right over here. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to replace the control unit panel, which is, the main brain of the dehumidifier. I think this is actually probably working properly. I think the only thing that's wrong is the humidity sensor, which is mounted somewhere on the side, on the back of the unit. So this is where the filter usually goes. So it tries to read right after the filter. So that's where it is. And it's actually only held by one screw. So there's a screw on the back. Try to see if I can show you guys. So this is a screw. I'm just going to unscrew it and then get the sensor loose, and then we'll take it out. So to replace the humidity sensor, it's actually not easy because everything's zip tied. So later on I have to re-zip tie those ties, and right now I have to disconnect the humidity sensor, which is the one right here, so I can route it back all the way on the side out. And I cannot take this panel off because it's being actually like pretty solid and mounted with no way of opening it up. Okay, so that is the only way. So now what I'm gonna do is just crimp those zip ties and try to route the humidity sensor out. Okay, and this is actually a lot of work. I thought it's gonna be easy, but it's really not that easy. And here's one more tie over here, and I have to retie everything after I finish replacing the sensor. So that's more work. All right. And this is the actual sensor right here. I'm going to disconnect it from the control panel. And now it's disconnected. I'm going to try to route it back from the side all the way out, because that's how they routed it. So there's only one way out. And hopefully it doesn't stuck over there, which is gonna make the job much harder. Which it did got stuck. Okay, so I gotta use two hands to kind of unstuck it and take it out, and then put the new one in, hopefully. All right, that is a lot of work for a brand new unit. So I'm comparing the two humidity sensors. The black one is the unit that I think is not working properly, and the white one is a unit they sent me as replacement. The white one had a model number of AM2322A, and the black one is 2322B. So according to the specs, the black one is actually a newer model with more precise measurements. And so what they sent me is a less precise unit from an older model of a humidity sensor. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be happy about it, but I think this is the solution that I'm going to try first before I call them and just have a replacement unit sent back to me, because again, I paid close to $2,000 for this unit and it's not working since day one. And I have to do a lot of work myself to get this humidity sensor back in there and install the housing myself and install all the cable ties from where I need to cut it. Not too happy. And this is a temperature sensor, which I also have to remove and put on the side before I can access the humidity sensor. So definitely a lot of work for the unit that I'm paying for. Anyway, I'm going to try to just reroute the humidity sensor back in there, and then we're going to turn on the unit to give it a try to see if it actually does its job. So I finished rerouting the humidity sensor. Basically, it's this wire goes all the way to the side and then go to the back and rest over there with a screw. I am gonna go ahead and put the board back, and then we're gonna have the machine run for a little bit to test to see if it actually reads the correct humidity, and then we're gonna decide whether we have to also replace the control panel as well as a final resort. And if it doesn't work, I'm gonna have to call them to get a replacement machine back to me. So far, it's pretty much 30 minutes of work getting things back together, and then try to test it. And then I'm gonna update this video after I test it for a little while, and then to see whether the dehumidifier is actually working properly or not. Okay, so I'm gonna put everything back up and then give it a try. So I put everything back together, and I connected the power. As you can see, the connect feature is already activated. The machine is actually connected to the cloud when it displays that color. And next step, I'm pretty much just gonna open up the machine and try to see what the humidity reading is. And right now it says the current humidity reading is at 82%. So I am gonna let the machine run for a little bit, and we're gonna come back and check on the humidity, because for the last sensor, it was reading constantly above 69%. So the machine just constantly on, it was not able to read correct humidity level. But looking at this one, it looks to be correct, because it's actually dropping down fairly quickly. But we're gonna come back and update on the humidity level, and we're gonna continue with this kind of fairly long review of the Santa Fe Advanced 100 dehumidifier. And this is kind of what it sounds like when the compressor is up and running. And right now I can already feel the problem is probably fixed, because for my last sensor, the humidity never went below 69%. And right now at the start, it's already at 70%. I'm gonna set the humidity level to 55%. Give it a try. Or for 54. All right, and let's go back in a little bit and check to see if the actually humidity level drops. Okay, so I'll be right back. All right, so over here, I'm showing you guys how the app works. Basically, you open up the Santa Fe app, Santa Fe Connect is what's it called, and you are greeted with the home screen over here. On the home screen, you have the outside temperature, which is based on your zip code. So it tells you right now the outside humidity is about 80%, temperature 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Over here in the sensor, it's what the app suggests you set the humidity to based on your outside temperature. And down here, it's the inside temp. So over here, 54%, which is the current humidity level, and 81 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the current temperature of the dehumidifier, or the area around the dehumidifier. And over here you see some check marks. First, it tells you the dehumidifier is connected to the cloud, which means that little connect thing mounted onto the dehumidifier with the magnetic basically that little device is working properly. The second one tells you that the dehumidifier is actually running, and the third one tells you the humidity is controlled, because right now it's within the set humidity level. And we're going to go to the second tab. Over here, it's your current humidity level. As you can see, what I described with the more functioning humidity sensor, since I set up the dehumidifier, the humidity level has been through the roof, and the reason being the humidity sensor was defective. So as you can see, it never went down below 70%. It's always higher than 70, which I know is not true, because with my separate humidity sensor, it shows the humidity was actually within the healthy range. So something wrong with the humidity sensor, which I showed you in the video that I just replaced with the replacement humidity sensor, which successfully brought the humidity level down to the normal level. And this is actually where it's supposed to be. I'm glad I fixed it with the kit that they sent me. However, what I'm not happy with is that I have to spend close to more than 30 minutes to fix that humidity sensor with the kit that they sent me. So that's the added step that's not necessary, I think, for a dehumidifier that's over, $1,800 with tax. Anyway, so I think that problem is fixed, and right now it's actually displaying the humidity level is actually within the range that we desire. And it actually did it much, much faster than my portable dehumidifier I had in the basement. Actually did it super quick, honestly. So On the third tab is the system tab. Over here, I can control to have my dehumidifier in the on mode or go to a sleep mode, which I can select to have it sleep in 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, or 4 hours. I'm not gonna have it sleeping. Or you can turn the dehumidifier off directly in the app. There's a fan mode. You can choose to have it in auto mode, which the fan only turns on when the dehumidifier is up and running. Or you can have the fan to be in always on mode to try to have the air circulating in the basement, even though the dehumidifier is not dehumidifying. Over here, you can register your dehumidifier. You can release the dehumidifier from the cloud, or you can delete the dehumidifier from the cloud. All the settings over here, you don't have to touch once you have it set up. On the last step is the details page, which it shows the name of the dehumidifier, which you can customize, the zip code where the dehumidifier is set up at, and the location of the dehumidifier. Over here, you can choose to have it displayed in Celsius degrees or in Fahrenheit degrees. And over here, it also tells you the runtime of the dehumidifier since it started running or since it started connected to the cloud. The filter life indicates 5 months left. Basically, you can manually set the life of the filter. The filter last changed, which is the time I set up the dehumidifier, and the next change time, which you can also manually set. And over here, if you want to reset the filter change time, you can just click that and it resets it for the next 5 month indicator. Over here, it also shows the water sensor, which is enabled. The water sensor connects to your Santa Fe Connect sensor on the outside of the dehumidifier. And over here is the Connect humidity sensor. So if you choose this, it uses the humidity sensor on the Connect instead of the humidity sensor within the Connect. Within the dehumidifier to try to control the humidity around the entire basement. You can turn it on or turn it off. By default, it's turned off, which means it actually uses the humidity sensor in the dehumidifier for proper humidity control, which is the preferred method because the humidity, if you remember when we set it up, it actually sits before the actual condenser, so it's actually measuring the air going in before the condenser, which is a more accurate method of measuring the humidity, the actual humidity in your basement. So we keep it off, and it's supposed to be using the sensor inside. Over here, it displays the current version of the Connect firmware and the dehumidifier firmware. And over here, you can customize the color of that green bar on top of the control unit, and you can also control the brightness of the screen on the control unit. So this is all within the Santa Fe Connect app, where it shows you the option of the tracking history and the option of controlling the dehumidifier. The rest of the function works pretty fine, and if you need to reconfigure the app, it's pretty much step by step, so it's really easy to set up. So no complaints there. And for the rest of the app, we'll have to use more to figure out. But for now, I think the dehumidifier is actually working perfectly fine. It's dehumidifying much faster than my portable dehumidifier I had down there, which was rated at 50 pint. So yes, it does work as advertised, but it had some hiccups along the way that we had to fix. But besides that, if you ask me if it's worth the close to $2,000 price point, I would say maybe, but it's one of the few that actually had an app that you can control the dehumidifier wirelessly, which is the selling point of the dehumidifier. If you don't ever use the Wi-Fi function, I would say save the extra $500 and just buy the advanced 90, which I think is a better value in terms of the price point, and it removes just as much of the humidity as the Advanced 100 without the Wi-Fi feature and without a advanced control unit. So basically the Advanced 90 just have a knob. You can, turn the knob and control the humidity, which I think is probably a more reliable option at this point. As you can see from my video, that I had to replace a lot of things from that digital control panel, which is a hassle. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. If you guys have any questions about the dehumidifier, the Santa Fe Advanced 100, feel free to ask me in the comment section down below. Otherwise, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please do hit the like button or subscribe, and I should have more similar contents coming out for you guys. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.